My son died a rich man. That's what everyone believed. People came to his funeral dressed in black, acting like they cared, acting like they knew him. But when his wife's lover stood up to speak, something no one expected happened. My dead son laughed. A recorded laugh. And in that moment I realized my son didn't die weak. He died prepared. My son, Daniel, was a quiet man. He didn't talk much. He didn't show off. He didn't trust easily. But he noticed everything. Daniel built his life from nothing. He worked long hours. He planned carefully. And over time, he became very successful. People said he was lucky. I knew better. When he married Laura, I tried to be happy for him. She was confident and social, very different from my son. Daniel traveled often for work. Laura stayed home. From the outside, they looked fine. But distance changes people. Daniel never complained. He never asked questions. He simply watched. The hospital called late at night. They said it was sudden heart failure. No warning, no explanation. Daniel was healthy. Nothing made sense, but death doesn't ask for reasons. The funeral was large and expensive. Too many people came. Some cried loudly, some whispered, some watched. Laura sat in the front row. She looked calm, almost too calm. That's when I saw him, a man in a gray suit standing near the back. He didn't look sad. He looked confident. When Laura noticed him, she looked away. I understood immediately. His name was Ethan. Laura called him a business contact. But I had seen enough lies in my life. Ethan didn't act like someone who lost a friend. He acted like someone who thought he had won. The priest asked if anyone wanted to speak. For a moment, no one moved. Then Ethan stood up and walked to the microphone. "My name is Ethan," he said. "Daniel meant a lot to me." That's when we heard it. A laugh. Clear. Calm. Coming from the speakers. Daniel's voice. And I knew my son had planned something. Something none of us were ready for. After the laugh echoed through the hall, people looked around in confusion. Laura stood up, shaking. Her face had lost all color. Ethan froze near the microphone. For the first time, he looked unsure. Then the screen behind the coffin turned on. Daniel appeared. Calm. Alive. Looking straight into the camera. "If you're watching this," Daniel said, "it means I'm dead." The room went silent. Laura whispered his name. Ethan took a step back. Daniel continued. "I recorded this months ago. Not because I planned to die, but because I planned for the truth." I felt my chest tighten. This wasn't emotion. This was preparation. Daniel didn't raise his voice. He didn't sound angry. "I know about the affair," he said. "I know how it started. I know where it happened." Laura covered her mouth. Daniel explained everything simply. The messages, the late nights, the lies. "I never confronted you," he said, "because confrontation warns people." Ethan looked toward the doors. Security was already there. Daniel explained why he never reacted. "Anger makes mistakes," he said. "Silence reveals patterns." He had watched Laura change. He had watched Ethan grow confident. They believed Daniel was busy, distracted. "They believed I was weak," he said. "They were wrong." Daniel talked about the months before his death. He had met with lawyers, accountants, trust managers. Every account was reviewed, every asset reorganized. "I didn't hide my money," Daniel said. "I protected it." He paused. "From the wrong people." Daniel looked directly into the camera. "This video only plays if Ethan speaks today," he said. "That means he believed I was gone." Ethan's face went pale. Daniel continued calmly. "If Ethan stayed silent, this message would never be seen." The room understood. Ethan had exposed himself. Laura dropped to her knees. She cried now. Real, crying. But it was too late. Daniel looked almost sad. "I loved you," he said. "But love doesn't excuse betrayal." I felt tears in my eyes, not from shock, from knowing how alone my son must have been. Daniel ended with one sentence. "I didn't leave revenge," he said. "I left consequences." The screen went black. The room stayed silent. No one moved. Everyone knew this was only the beginning. After the video ended, people slowly started to understand something. Daniel had not left chaos behind. He had left instructions. A man in a dark suit stepped forward. He introduced himself as Daniel's lawyer. He spoke calmly. "Daniel prepared everything months ago," he said. "There is nothing left to guess." Laura looked up at him with hope in her eyes. Hope is dangerous when it comes too late. The lawyer opened a folder. Daniel Carter's estate was finalized 6 months before his death. People leaned forward. Everyone assumed the same thing. Laura would inherit everything. She always believed that. She was wrong. The lawyer continued. All personal accounts were closed and redistributed before Daniel's death. Laura's face tightened. All properties were transferred into protected trusts. Her breathing became heavy. All investments were liquidated. Someone whispered, "Then where did the money go?" The lawyer answered without emotion. "Daniel no longer owned most of his wealth when he died." The room went silent. Daniel didn't die rich in money. He died rich in control. The lawyer explained. Large portions of Daniel's money had already been donated. Charities, scholarships, employee funds, quiet places, careful choices, places Laura never looked. Laura stood up. "So what did he leave me?" she asked. Her voice shook. The lawyer looked at her. "A monthly allowance," he said. "Enough to live comfortably." She smiled for a second. Then he finished the sentence. "Only if you remain legally married and uninvolved in legal disputes." Her smile disappeared. Ethan finally spoke. "This is ridiculous," he said. "I worked with Daniel." The lawyer nodded. "Yes, and Daniel documented that." He pulled out another folder. "Ethan Hayes," he said. "You are under investigation for fraud." Ethan stepped back. "What fraud?" he asked. The lawyer answered simply. "Marked transfers, false contracts, stolen intellectual property." Daniel had allowed Ethan to steal, because stolen money leaves tracks. Daniel had waited. He let Ethan believe he was safe. He let him grow careless. Then, Daniel handed everything to the authorities. Before he died, before anyone suspected. Laura looked around the room. No one met her eyes. Her future had collapsed in minutes. No wealth, no power, no protection, only consequences. I sat quietly. I finally understood my son. Daniel didn't want revenge fueled by anger. He wanted accountability that couldn't be escaped. He didn't destroy lives. He exposed lies, and the people who built their lives on those lies were already falling. The room felt different after the lawyer finished speaking. People were no longer whispering. They were silent. Laura sat back down slowly, like her body had given up before her mind did. Ethan looked around, searching for support. There was none. 2 uniformed officers entered the hall. They didn't rush. They didn't speak loudly. They walked straight toward Ethan. One of them said his name. "Ethan Hayes, we need you to come with us." Ethan laughed once, a short, nervous laugh. "This is a mistake," he said. "I didn't do anything wrong." The officer didn't argue. "You can explain that later." They took his arms. That's when Ethan panicked. Ethan pulled away. He looked toward the doors, but the doors were already blocked. Security stood still, waiting. Ethan's confidence disappeared. The man who had walked to the microphone with pride now looked small. He was led away in silence. Laura stood up again. "This isn't fair," she said. "You can't do this to me." No one answered. The lawyer spoke instead. "Daniel made his decisions legally," he said. "There is nothing to challenge." Laura's voice broke. "I was his wife." The lawyer nodded. "And he was aware of your actions." That was enough. Laura collapsed into the chair. The lawyer turned to me. "Daniel left a private letter for you," he said. He handed me an envelope. I didn't open it. Not yet. Some things deserve quiet. The priest didn't continue. There was nothing left to say. People began leaving slowly. No one looked at Laura. No one spoke to her. The funeral ended without prayers, without closure. Only truth. That night, I went home alone. I sat at my kitchen table and opened the letter. Daniel's handwriting was steady. "Dad, if you're reading this, it means everything worked. I'm sorry you had to see it this way. I never wanted you involved, but I needed you safe. I knew Laura would make mistakes. I knew Ethan would get greedy. I didn't act because I wanted proof, not arguments. I didn't want revenge. I wanted the truth to stand on its own. Take care of yourself. Everything else is handled." Daniel. I cried then. Not because Daniel was gone, but because I finally understood him. He had carried everything alone, so no one else had to. The days after the funeral were quiet. Too quiet. News travels fast even when people don't want it to. By the next morning, everyone knew what had happened. Not the full story, just enough to stay away. Ethan didn't make bail. The charges were serious. Financial fraud, identity misuse, stolen assets. Everything Daniel had documented came out slowly. Emails, contracts, transfers. Ethan had thought Daniel trusted him. Daniel had trusted the evidence. Laura stayed in the house for a few days. Then she left. The allowance Daniel had arranged was frozen. Not taken. Paused. Legal reviews take time. She tried calling lawyers, friends, family. Most didn't answer. Some lessons arrived late. People started asking me questions. Did Daniel plan all of this? Did he know he was going to die? I gave the same answer every time. He planned for life, and he planned for lies. Nothing more. I visited Daniel's house once more. Everything was clean, organized, documents labeled, files stored. Nothing felt rushed. Daniel hadn't expected death. He had simply respected reality. The lawyer met me one last time. "Daniel left you full authority," he said. "All remaining trusts answer to you." I nodded. Daniel knew I didn't want the money. That's why he trusted me with it. Some of Daniel's former employees reached out. They told me things I never knew. How Daniel paid bonuses quietly. How he helped families without telling anyone. How he stayed late to teach instead of command. Daniel had built more than wealth. He had built loyalty. Daniel didn't die with millions in his name. He died with his decisions finished. No loose ends, no stolen future. That's what real wealth looks like. That night, I sat alone again. I thought about the laugh. Not cruel, not angry. Certain. My son hadn't laughed because he won. He laughed because the truth finally spoke for him. Months passed. Life didn't return to normal. It adjusted. That's what truth does. It forces adjustment. Ethan accepted a plea deal. He lost everything. His career, his reputation, his freedom. No speeches, no apologies, just paperwork and silence. The kind he once used against my son. Laura eventually received her allowance. Enough to live, not enough to control anyone. She tried to rebuild her life, but some doors don't reopen, not because people are cruel, but because trust doesn't forget. Daniel's charities continued quietly. Scholarships funded students who never knew his name. Employees built businesses he would never see. No statues, no public praise. Daniel never wanted that. I visited Daniel's grave one last time. I didn't bring flowers. I brought understanding. I spoke out loud. "You handled it," I said. "All of it." The wind was quiet. That was enough. People still ask me about the laugh. Why did he laugh? Because Daniel wasn't mocking anyone. He was acknowledging the moment when lies ran out of room. I raised a son who didn't fight loudly. He didn't shout. He didn't threaten. He waited. And when the time came, he let the truth do the work. My son didn't die rich in money. He died rich in control, in clarity, in peace. And that is something no one could steal from him. Some people seek revenge. Others prepare the truth and let it finish the job.